Good day, class. Welcome to the second session. In this session, we will briefly look at how to analyze own responses to spoken and signed texts and adjust as required. We will briefly analyze own responses to spoken and signed texts in relation to audience, purpose, and context. It is helpful to consider three types of responses when responding to spoken texts. It is likely that one will combine elements of more than one response type, or even using elements of all three techniques. Any type or combination of responses should be supported by details, examples, facts, and evidence. The first type is agree or disagree response. In this form of response, one might discover that they disagree with some points mentioned by the speaker, but agree with others. Whether you agree, disagree, or a combination of both, the writer must support their response with details, examples, facts, and evidence. The second type is the interpretive or reflective response, where one focuses on a key idea from the spoken text. The speaker might reflect on their own experiences, attitudes, or observations in relation to the ideas of the text, whereas the listener might use their response to consider how the speaker's ideas might be interpreted by other listeners, how the ideas might be applied, and how they might be misunderstood. The third type is the analytic response, which analyzes key elements of the text, such as the purpose, the audience, the main thesis, the argument, the focus, the evidence, and the style. Part of the listener's response might include suggestions for how the speaker could have made the spoken text more effective. When one is confronted with views that oppose their own views, it is advisable to state your position with confidence in a way that is appropriate to the interaction. Communication is one of the most important factors in any group discussion, which at times may come with disagreements. Some people think that disagreements are all bad, but fail to see that a good argument can help all parties express their point of views. We will briefly look at 10 tips that you can use to improve in arguments so that your viewpoints are put forward and accepted by fellow members. The first tip is soft and steady, which simply means that you should never raise your voice in an argument. You should try to remain calm at all times. The second tip is to get your opponent on your side by making statements you know they would agree with. The third tip is to not attack. You shouldn't tell your opponent they are wrong, but rather show them they are wrong through a good counter argument. The fourth tip is not to play dirty. You should attack the person's argument and not the person. Once you start criticizing your opponent, it shows that you have run out of methods to defend your view. The fifth tip is to define the fundamentals. Once you agree on fundamental truths, you give the argument purpose. The sixth tip is to stick to the subject. Some people tend to try and divert the topic when they realize that they are beginning to lose the argument, and this leads to a whole new debate. The seventh tip is that you should ask questions. When your opponent states a fact, you should probe deeper into the fact with questions that are structured to expose the flaws of their point. The eighth tip is to be silent. After making a strong argument, you should let your opponent do all the talking, especially when they lack the facts to oppose you. The ninth tip is that you should know your facts. Only state things that you know are true and be prepared to prove it if necessary. It is annoying to debate a topic with someone who makes up their arguments on the spot. Only engage in a debate that you can win using facts. The last tip is to know when you are beat. If you have all the facts to back you up, You should be able to win your argument if your opponent is honest. In closing, let us look at how to adopt tone, register, and approach to maintain oral and signed interaction. Our voice is a powerful tool if used effectively, paying very close attention to the tone used. Intonation is the way that the sender's pitch of voice raises and falls when speaking. Another function of intonation is to lay emphasis on a particular word or idea, a detail that the interpreter must not fail to be aware of. The tone of voice is a means by which the speaker implies his or her attitude to the message. We have come to an end of our second session. Let us take a break before moving on to the third session.